When it comes to biblically learning about end times, you have to approach that subject much more differently in your study than you would pretty much any other subject in Christianity. Here's what I mean by that. End times is a lot like math. When it comes to math, you can't just jump into algebra if you've not already learned multiplication and division. You can't learn multiplication and division if you don't know what addition and subtraction is. And quite honestly, you can't even really learn addition and subtraction if you don't know what your numbers are and what they represent. So when it comes to end times, it works very much the same way. There's a foundation of ideas that the Bible lays out that you have to understand to be able to fully put together not only the context of what the Bible says about the end days, but also when you're trying to filter out what's happening in the world around you and connecting that back to the Bible. You have to have some basic concepts clearly understood within you to be able to know exactly what's going on. That's the purpose of this channel. Several years back when I was a youth pastor, I felt like God said, I want you to teach your students about the end times. Give them the ability to filter out what they're seeing in their world and how the Bible said that that was going to happen thousands of years ago. Because if you can connect the dots, if you can show them how the Bible already said this was going to happen, that's going to give God credibility. So I started to dive into that, and God really gave me a passion for simplifying end times. Mainly because as I was trying to learn myself, I realized that most of the information is kind of wrapped around one of two things. There's either websites with pretty good content, but it's laced with Armageddon-filled pictures and crazy ads everywhere and some, very extreme type stuff when it's talking about the news, or you've got really good teachers whose videos are 2 hours long. They kind of expect you to understand some foundational stuff that without that knowledge that they're not necessarily teaching in that video, but if you don't have that knowledge, you're not going to really understand what that video says. I realized there's not a real good place to begin to build a foundation to understand what's happening when it comes to end times. That's the purpose of this channel. Again, learning end times is a lot like learning math. You have to first learn numbers before you can jump into addition and subtraction. You have to first learn addition and subtraction before you get to multiplication and division, and so on. You can't just jump in the middle. You have to have some foundational ideas. My goal with this channel is to be able to give you the foundation you need to understand the full context of the Bible as it relates to end times, to do it in a way that the videos are 15 minutes or less. Not saying all of them will be, but that's the goal. And then also to be able to take that and say, this is what's happening in the world. This is what's happening around me. This is what's happening, in our environment, and be able to connect that back to what the Bible says about end times. Look, I don't know about you, but I believe Jesus is coming soon. And even if he doesn't come back in our lifetime, Jesus told his disciples they were in the end times, which means our generation is now the closest generation there ever has been to the end times. It's something we should understand. I hope you enjoy the content here. If you got questions, feel free to message me, comment. I'm going to do my best to stay connected with every viewer. My hope is that you watch these videos systematically. Start with the first one, then go to the second, then the third. They all build on themselves. I'm excited to be able to take part in this journey with you. If you've got any questions, please feel free to message me or comment. Reach out in any way that you can.